I disappeared the same night my daughter learned how to ride a bike. No goodbye. No note. No explanation. One moment I was running behind her, out of breath, pretending not to be terrified. The next, I was sitting alone in my car, engine running, watching the house in the rearview mirror like it belonged to someone else. Her small red helmet was still on the porch. My wife's phone was buzzing inside the kitchen. And I was already gone. People think disappearing is something dramatic. That it happens in a storm of emotions, shouting, slammed doors, tears. But the truth is quieter. It feels like sinking. Like letting go of the surface when no one is looking. I told myself it was temporary. Just a break. A reset. A few days to breathe. 10 years passed. I live in a coastal town now. The kind of place tourists love and locals escape from. The air smells like salt and rust. The buildings are tired. So am I. I work at a marina repairing engines that will never leave the harbor. Most of the boats belong to people who don't use them. They like the idea of escape more than the reality of it. Funny how that works. No one here knows my real name. I go by Evan. It was the name on a lost wallet I found years ago. The owner never came back for it. Maybe he disappeared too. Maybe we traded lives without knowing it. My real name still exists somewhere. On old documents. On hospital forms. On school records that list me as father, absent. But here, I am just Evan. The quiet guy with the scar on his knuckle and the habit of staring at the ocean like it owes him something. Every morning I wake up before sunrise. Not because I'm disciplined, but because my dreams refuse to let me sleep. They always bring me back to the same night. The same porch. The same helmet. Sometimes my daughter is still small. Sometimes she's already grown. Sometimes she doesn't even recognize my face. In the dreams, I try to speak, but my voice is gone. Just air moving through a mouth that no longer belongs to me. People think guilt screams. Mine whispers. It follows me into the shower. Into the kitchen. Into the empty chair across from me at dinner. It doesn't accuse me. It doesn't shout. It just waits. Patient. Permanent. I tell myself I left to protect them. That's the lie I built my new life on. The truth is uglier. 10 years ago, I was a man drowning in silence. My wife and I didn't fight. We didn't scream. We simply stopped talking. Conversations became logistics. Groceries. School schedules. Bills. We lived in the same house like polite strangers sharing a waiting room. I wasn't cheating. I wasn't violent. I wasn't drunk. I was invisible. And so was she. Our daughter was the only thing that still felt real. The way she laughed when she fell. The way she trusted us without question. That trust terrified me more than anything. Because I knew how fragile it was. The secret I carried had nothing to do with another woman or a crime. It was something smaller. Quieter. More poisonous. I hated the man I had become. Not angry enough to change. Not brave enough to leave honestly. Just numb. And numbness is dangerous. It convinces you that absence is kinder than presence. That disappearing hurts less than staying hollow. So I left. Not because I was forced to. Not because I was threatened. But because I was weak. The first year felt like freedom. New city. New job. New name. I told myself I would call. I told myself I would explain. I told myself I just needed time to find the right words. But time doesn't give you words. It takes them away. The longer I stayed silent, the heavier my voice felt. Eventually, the idea of calling became unbearable. What do you say after a year, after 5, after 10? Sorry, I erased myself from your life so I didn't. Instead, I built a smaller world. One with fewer responsibilities. Fewer expectations. Fewer mirrors. No family photos. No holidays. No future plans. Just days stacked on top of each other like empty boxes. Sometimes I check social media from a fake account. I never interact. I just watch. My wife remarried. A good man, by the looks of it. My daughter smiles in photos. She plays soccer now. Her helmet is gone. She has braces. She has a life. Without me. And that is the part no one talks about. The world doesn't collapse when you disappear. It adjusts. It heals. It moves on. You are not a tragedy. You are a footnote. Last winter, I almost broke. I was repairing an old fishing boat when a young girl ran across the dock chasing her father. She tripped. Fell. Scraped her knee. He lifted her without hesitation, whispered something I couldn't hear, and kissed her forehead. Something inside me cracked. Not loudly. Not dramatically. Just enough to remind me that it was still there. That night I drank alone, staring at my phone. I found my daughter's old number. My thumb hovered over the screen for a long time. I didn't call. Because calling isn't courage. Staying was the hard part. I chose the easier pain. There's a certain comfort in punishment you control. My loneliness is predictable. My guilt is familiar. Redemption would require risk. And I have already proven how much I fear that. People sometimes ask about my family. I tell them I lost them. It sounds better than saying I abandoned them. Loss suggests tragedy. Abandonment suggests choice. This was always a choice. Every day I don't go back, I choose it again. The marina closes at sunset. I walk home along the water, watching the lights blur across the waves. The ocean doesn't judge. It doesn't forgive. It just exists. I envy that. 10 years ago, I thought disappearing would make me lighter. Instead, it made me hollow. Like a house with no furniture. Still standing, but empty of meaning. Sometimes I imagine what my daughter would say if she saw me now. Would she recognize me? Would she ask questions? Would she be angry, or would she simply feel nothing? That thought hurts the most. Because indifference is worse than hatred. Hatred means you still matter. Tonight, the wind is strong. The boats creak against their ropes like restless ghosts. I sit on the pier with my hands in my pockets, watching the darkness swallow the horizon. I think about going back. Not to be forgiven. Not to be welcomed. Just to be honest. But honesty doesn't erase absence. It doesn't return lost years. It doesn't undo silence. It only confirms it. So I stay where I am. A man with a borrowed name. A father without a place. A ghost who chose to disappear. And tomorrow, the sun will rise again. The boats will still be here. The ocean will still pretend not to care. Just like I once did.